Every tree that grows tall and strong begins with roots hidden deep beneath the ground. In the same way, your actions, your habits, even your destiny, do not begin on the surface. They begin in a silent space within you. Your subconscious mind. Most people try to change their lives by effort alone, unaware that true transformation starts beyond thought, in a realm that is unseen yet always present. The subconscious is not just a part of you, it is the foundation of who you become. And when you learn to understand it, to program it with awareness and intention, you no longer chase change, you become change. So today, we ask not just how powerful the subconscious mind is, but why. And in doing so, we awaken the silent force that already lives within you. The subconscious mind is a silent force, always present, always active, even when we are not aware of it. It does not speak with words, and it does not argue with logic. Yet, it is always listening. It absorbs, stores, and reacts to everything we feed into it, through our thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and experiences. While the conscious mind is limited by what it can focus on in a single moment, the subconscious is vast like the ocean, holding not only memories but patterns, habits, and associations that shape our every response to life. Most people believe that their decisions come from conscious reasoning. They think they are in control because they are thinking. But in truth, 90 to 95% of our decisions, behaviors, and emotional reactions arise from the subconscious level. It operates in the background, running automatic programs based on everything we've repeated, everything we've emotionally absorbed, and everything we've been conditioned to accept without question. Think of it like this: the subconscious is the soil, and your thoughts are the seeds. Whatever you plant repeatedly, whether it is fear or confidence, self, doubt or discipline, will take root and grow. The subconscious does not judge the seed. It does not ask, is this helpful, or is this true? It simply accepts what is given to it through repetition and emotion. If you constantly tell yourself, I am not enough, your subconscious accepts that as a command. It will shape your behaviors, your feelings, and even your energy to match that belief. If instead you feed it thoughts of self-respect, strength, and possibility, it will support those outcomes without resistance. The real power of the subconscious lies in its neutrality. It does not argue. It does not resist. It executes. Like a powerful but obedient servant, it acts according to the instructions you give it, directly or indirectly. The challenge is that most people give it instructions unconsciously. Through what they watch, what they listen to, who they spend time with, and how they speak to themselves, they program the subconscious every day without intention. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, why change feels difficult, or why they keep repeating the same mistakes. Your subconscious remembers every word you say to yourself, every emotional experience you go through, even the moments you thought you forgot. It stores emotional responses, traumas, and deep beliefs formed in childhood and adolescence, because those were the years when your conscious mind had not yet fully developed to filter and protect you. A child who is repeatedly told, "You are not smart," doesn't question it. That message enters the subconscious and becomes part of their identity. Years later, even with intelligence and talent, they may hesitate, procrastinate, or self-sabotage, because the subconscious program is still running. Another way to understand its power is by observing how habits are formed. When you first learn something new, like riding a bicycle or driving a car, it takes conscious effort. You think about every move. But over time, through repetition, it becomes automatic. You no longer think about it. Your subconscious takes over. This is what makes mastery possible. But it also means that the same mechanism can trap us in destructive routines. The key is to become aware of what you are repeating, because what is repeated becomes what is remembered, and what is remembered becomes what is automatic. The subconscious also influences how we interpret the world. Two people can experience the same event and have completely different emotional reactions. One might see failure, the other opportunity. Why? Because each person is filtering the event through their subconscious beliefs. If you carry the subconscious belief that life is always against me, then even the smallest challenge will feel like proof. If you believe deeply, I can learn and grow from anything, then even failure becomes a stepping stone. The outer world reflects the inner world. If you want to change what you see outside, you must first change the programming inside. This is not about fake positivity or pretending everything is fine. It's about awareness, becoming aware of what beliefs live inside you, becoming mindful of what emotional patterns rule you, becoming disciplined about what you expose your mind to, what you say to yourself, and what you repeatedly do each day. Because all of these elements are instructions. They are the language through which the subconscious mind is programmed. And once programmed, it will continue running that script until you consciously replace it. The subconscious also controls biological functions, heartbeat, breathing, digestion, and even how your body responds to stress or relaxation. When you meditate, breathe deeply, or visualize with intention, you influence your subconscious. You shift your internal state. You communicate directly with the part of you that doesn't speak in language, but responds to feeling, rhythm, and repetition. This is why ancient practices like Qigong, meditation, or mindfulness are so powerful. They bypass the noise of the conscious mind and speak directly to the deeper self, where real change occurs. The subconscious mind is shaped not by intention alone, but by repetition and emotion. Whatever you do or feel consistently becomes etched into this deeper layer of your being, and this is where the power and the danger lies. Because, whether you realize it or not, your environment, your habits, your emotional patterns, and your inner dialogue are constantly programming your subconscious. The process is automatic. It does not wait for your permission. Every moment of your life, you are either consciously influencing your subconscious or allowing the outside world to do it for you. Consider for a moment how the body and the mind respond to repeated exposure. If a person repeatedly hears words of encouragement, they begin to expect support from the world. Their body becomes relaxed in social situations. Their breathing is calm. Their mind opens to possibility. On the other hand, if a person constantly receives criticism or rejection, the subconscious absorbs that fear. It begins to anticipate threat even where none exists. Muscles tense, the breath shortens, and the mind becomes defensive. These physical reactions are not conscious choices. They are reflexes triggered by deep, often unexamined subconscious patterns. This is why the rituals and routines you keep are so important. What you do each morning, the words you speak to yourself, the people you surround yourself with, these are not just habits, they are codes. Codes that communicate with your subconscious and shape how you think, feel, and act. The more intentional you are with these codes, the more influence you gain over the direction of your life. The less intentional you are, the more control you hand over to chance and external forces. When people say, "I can't change," they are not speaking about a lack of desire. They are describing the strength of the programs that have already been installed in their subconscious mind. These programs are like grooves in the earth. The more they are walked, the deeper they become. So when a person tries to walk a new path, a new habit, a new belief, a new identity, the subconscious resists, not because it is malicious, but because it is efficient. It defaults to what is known, to what is familiar, to what has been repeated over time. This is why meaningful change often feels uncomfortable. The discomfort is not failure. It is the subconscious adjusting to a new pattern, a new instruction. And like any system, it takes time to rewrite the old code. But the more frequently you show up with a new belief, the more you connect that belief with emotion, the more you repeat it in thought and in action, the deeper it goes. Eventually, the new groove becomes the default. What once required effort becomes effortless. The inner resistance fades. The subconscious begins to work for you rather than against you. This process demands consistency more than intensity. One day of discipline cannot erase years of self-doubt. 1 hour of confidence cannot overcome a lifetime of fear, but consistent, small, intentional acts, repeated over time, can rewire even the deepest beliefs. The subconscious does not understand time the way the conscious mind does. It responds to patterns, so the question becomes, what patterns are you feeding? What instructions are you giving the mind beneath the mind? Awareness is the first key, but discipline is what activates the transformation. If you wake up each day and repeat the same habits, think the same thoughts, feel the same emotions, you will continue to experience the same results. If you want to shift your reality, you must introduce new inputs, new thoughts, new language, new energy, again and again, until the subconscious no longer recognizes the old pattern as home. This is why silence, reflection, and conscious breathing are so often emphasized in ancient traditions. These practices slow down the noise of the conscious mind and create space, and in that space you can plant new seeds, deliberately, patiently, with presence, because the subconscious listens not to volume, but to consistency. And what you consistently focus on, you eventually become. The subconscious mind is deeply connected to your emotions. It does not operate through logic or language, but through feeling. Emotion is the gateway, the language that the subconscious understands without translation. What you feel intensely and repeatedly is imprinted upon your inner world, often more powerfully than anything you say or think. This is why one emotionally charged moment can leave a lasting mark on your life, shaping your reactions, decisions, and sense of identity for years to come. When something happens to you and you feel fear, joy, shame, or love deeply, your subconscious takes a snapshot of that experience. It remembers not only the event, but the emotional energy attached to it. That energy becomes a reference point. The next time you encounter a similar situation, your subconscious searches its memory bank and delivers the same emotion again, even before your conscious mind has had time to process what's happening. This is why people sometimes react to a harmless situation with disproportionate anxiety, or avoid opportunities that could help them grow. It is not because they are weak or unwilling, but because their subconscious associates that situation with an emotional wound. This emotional memory can act as either a limitation or a source of incredible strength, depending on what experiences are being reinforced. For most people, painful or negative emotions are reinforced more often than positive ones, because they are felt more strongly and more frequently. Anger, regret, fear, shame. These emotions tend to dominate our internal landscape unless we intentionally cultivate and strengthen their opposites. If you do not make time to practice gratitude, peace, and self-respect, they do not grow. And if they do not grow, they cannot anchor your subconscious with the emotional strength needed to rise above the negative patterns. One of the most important practices you can adopt is emotional awareness. Not suppression, not escape, but simply the act of observing what you feel when you feel it and why. The moment you begin observing your emotions without judgment, you stop becoming their prisoner. You begin to understand that feelings are not facts, and that not every emotional surge deserves a reaction. This awareness creates space for choice, space for response, space for transformation. When you understand that the subconscious is influenced most strongly by emotion, you begin to see the value in living with emotional discipline, not the suppression of feeling, but the conscious directing of your emotional energy toward states that support your well-being. The words you speak while feeling strong emotion enter the subconscious more directly. This is why self-talk during moments of anger, fear, or sadness can either deeply harm or heal you. If in a moment of failure you say, "I'm useless," and you feel it deeply, that message is planted deep. But if in the same moment you say, "I'm learning," and you feel even a small sense of belief behind those words, you begin to plant something new. Visualization is another tool that works powerfully through emotion. When you visualize not just with your mind, but with your heart, when you truly feel the experience you are imagining as if it is already real, the subconscious receives it as truth. The body begins to align with that reality. This is not magic, it is training. Just as the body can be trained through physical repetition, the subconscious can be trained through emotional repetition. Repeated enough times, these imagined experiences begin to overwrite the old emotional memories that kept you stuck. This is why healing the subconscious is not just a mental task, but an emotional journey. You must return to the parts of yourself that were shaped by pain, not to relive them, but to bring awareness and a new emotional understanding. When you revisit old memories with a new level of compassion, forgiveness, or wisdom, the emotional charge can be released. The memory remains, but it no longer holds the same power. You reclaim that part of yourself, and in doing so, you become more whole. The subconscious mind does not understand time the way the conscious mind does. It does not distinguish between past, present, or future in the way we normally perceive them. For the subconscious, everything you feel deeply is happening now. This is why a memory from years ago can still trigger pain, fear, or joy, as if the event were happening in this moment. The subconscious carries these emotional imprints, and it brings them forward into your present life, often without your awareness. You may think you've moved on, but if the energy of an experience is still active in the subconscious, it will continue to shape your behavior. Because the subconscious only responds to the now, it is always listening to how you think, speak, and feel in the present. It is not waiting for your future plans. It is reacting to your current emotional state and reinforcing whatever patterns you are living right now. If you speak words of defeat today, if you focus on limitation, if you carry a sense of unworthiness in this moment, the subconscious assumes that this is your truth and strengthens that belief. This is how cycles are created, cycles of thought, emotion, and behavior that repeat not because of your future intentions, but because of your current state. This understanding reveals a quiet truth. Transformation begins not with action alone, but with alignment. You must first align your inner state with the outcome you desire, even if it has not yet arrived. If you want peace, you must begin to embody peaceful thoughts and energies now. If you want confidence, you must begin to move and speak as someone who trusts themselves. The subconscious does not wait for the external world to catch up. It responds to your internal state, to your self-perception, to your emotional posture. This is why presence is such a vital practice. When you are present, you have the ability to observe what you are feeding your subconscious in real time. You can catch the moments when fear tries to speak through you, when doubt tries to shape your self-image, when the old patterns try to reclaim your energy. And in that awareness, you are given a choice to continue with the old script or to respond with something new. That choice, repeated daily, becomes the path of inner mastery. When you realize the subconscious does not operate on the timeline of the logical mind, you also begin to understand the power of visualization and spoken word. If you speak and imagine something with full emotional engagement, the subconscious responds as though it is happening. This is the principle behind many ancient practices using mantra, movement, breathing, and focused visualization to create an inner environment where the desired state is already real. You are not begging for change, you are becoming the change internally and trusting the outer world to mirror it. What you consistently affirm with emotional intensity becomes embedded. Repetition with feeling is the key that unlocks the door to lasting transformation. If you say something once but feel it deeply, it may leave a mark. But if you say something again and again, day after day, and you connect it with an emotion, whether hope, gratitude, or strength, then you are laying the foundation for a new reality inside you. And the subconscious, which only knows the present moment, begins to respond accordingly. Many people delay their healing, their progress, their peace, because they are waiting for something external to give them permission. But the subconscious does not wait for permission. It simply follows the emotional signal of the present moment. That means the most powerful shift you can make is to act and feel now as the version of yourself you intend to become. Not as pretense, not as fantasy, but as a form of mental and emotional training. You are reminding your inner world of what is possible. You are teaching the subconscious a new script. So in the end, we come to see that the greatest power we possess does not lie in what we control externally, but in what we cultivate internally. The subconscious mind, quiet, unseen, yet always active, shapes the course of our lives far more than most realize. It listens to our thoughts, absorbs our emotions, and responds to every pattern we repeat, whether we are aware of it or not. You do not need to fight the mind. You need to understand it. You do not need to force change. You need to align your inner world with the person you wish to become. Through awareness, repetition, emotion, and presence, you gain the ability to reprogram the deepest layers of your being. And when that alignment is achieved, when your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs flow in harmony with your highest self, the subconscious becomes your greatest ally, no longer a barrier but a bridge, a force that does not just follow but guides. Not from the surface, but from the very source of who you are. This is the path of inner mastery, not loud, not rushed, but deliberate, disciplined, and deeply transformative.